All right, we are continuing in our series on words of the Master. Again, we want to give you our text for this message. This is part 4, fulfilling our secret prayers. Fulfilling our secret prayers. And here's our text from the book of Matthew 6 and the 6th verse is what we want to focus on. We also included the 5th verse for your reading. And when you pray, we're talking about prayer, and everyone has secret prayers to the Lord. When you pray, do not be like the hypocrites, for they love to pray standing in the church, standing in the synagogues, standing in the aisles, letting you know that they're praying, on the street corners, to be seen by humanity, to be seen by human beings, to be seen by men. I tell you the truth, they have received their reward in full, Jesus said. But here's the main point he makes. But when you pray, go into your room, go into your mind, go into the closet of your heart, and close the door. Close out all disturbances, and pray to your father, pray to your mother, pray to your God, pray to Jesus Christ, who is unseen, an unseen spirit. Then your father, your mother, your spirit, the spirit of the living God, who sees what is done in secret, will reward you. And the King James Version says openly. Matthew 6, and we've read Matthew 6 in the 5th and 6th verse. We want to commend the entire chapter 6 of the book of Matthew in the Bible. We're reading from the New International Version of the Bible. All right, continue with words of the Master. We have about 2 more parts to the series, and we'll be done not with the series itself, but with this particular lesson on fulfilling our secret prayers. Let's go again with our triangle, our stages of the mind. First stage, you can probably track along with me if you've been following these lessons, the pre-mind, mind of a child. The second stage, the collective mind, the mind of society. The third stage was the individual mind, I-N-D-I-V-I-D-U-A-L. And then last week we covered the universal mind, U-N-I-V-E-R-S-A-L. All right, that's 2, 3, 4, and we said there was a 5th level of mind, which is Christ's mind or Christ consciousness. These are the 5 stages of the mind. Now, we said this was a child. We said this was society. We've also said this is the ego. This is more arrogant, self-centeredness, creativity takes over. And you can imagine those people who have fully developed egos, they have nowhere to go. Either they go up or they go down after they manifest their talent, their gifts. Child prodigies could fit in here. Scientists, doctors. The West, meaning Western world, fits very easily in this universal mind concept. The East fits in the collective mind concept. That's why you see so many followers. The collective mind is much more of a faith-oriented state of being for the individual. For the collective consciousness. And then the individual, much more doubt. That's why the scientific method can prevail in the individual mind. And then you have the universal mind. And here, trust comes into the picture. Let's make that a little bit clear. Hope you can understand this writing, but just repeat it back over. I always repeat it. It's trust. Trust. R-U-S-T. Trust comes into the picture. So you got faith, then you have doubt, then trust comes into the picture with the universal mind. And the universal mind is connected to the whole. There's another way we could look at this too. We could look at with the universal mind, God is mother. For the individual mind, you can easily assume, and the mother, we could call it a matriarchal society, M-A-T-R-I-A-R-C-H-Y, matriarchal. And then when you go for the individual mind, it's a much more of a fraternity. The individual mind would be more like a fraternity, a brotherhood or a sisterhood of men. But when you look at the collective mind, you can look at the collective mind as sort of a patriarchal society. God is Father. And there's a reason for that, because this is more or less dictatorial. You are told what to do in the collective mind. In the matriarchal mind, God is love, much more nurturing. And in, obviously, the fraternity is a brotherhood of humankind. And then again, the universal mind, trust, the collective mind, faith, the individual mind, doubt. All these things come into play. Let's keep looking here. Let's go down and see what we can add to it. In the pre-mind, let's draw a circle, or again, draw a triangle. Getting pretty crude here. Let's just get rid of that one and do another one. Let's do a much clearer one. All right. Continue to go up here. So we know in the pre-mind, this is much more selfish. And it has to be. It doesn't know anything else. It's a child. Kind of chaotic. And then we move toward the collective mind. And the collective mind, you have much more sort of an intellectual understanding. Intellectual. E-C-T-U-A-L. And then, of course, in the individual mind, D-U-A-L, you have intelligence comes into picture. This is just another way of looking at these levels of mind. And then, of course, we said on one side is sort of a chaos, and then on the other side of the collective mind, much more faith in society, in the world. Let's get rid of that and come back up, and let's just, sometimes our board don't want to act right. Okay, there we are. And let's come back, and here we said faith in society. Okay, and then with the individual mind you have doubt, and then with an intelligence, faith and intellectual understanding, chaos and selfishness, and then when we have the universal mind, S-A-L, when you have the universal mind, you get trust. And then on the other side of that, what flourishes more than anything else is sort of a flowering of your salvation on this side of the mind. And then we move to the last level of mind. We said that in the universal mind, it's more of love, mother, matriarchal society. Individual mind, a fraternity, collective mind, sort of a patriarchal society, and then the actual child, a sort of a selfishness is flowing. But what goes on at the Christ level of man? And this is where the goal is. This is what makes human beings, this is what makes us as human beings a passage or a bridge. We're searching for this level, and we are all trying to get there through various means. And of course, I always advocate the two most important means is prayer and meditation. That helps us get to the Christ consciousness level. Let's see, can we take it down just a little bit more to talk about the Christ consciousness. When you're looking at the Christ consciousness, this foremost level of our being, this is where we all want to be. And this state is a state of being. A state of being conscious of who we are and whose we are. This is a very important state of being, and it's very hard to get here. This state is also a state of being blessed. Or you could call it bliss. Either way, this is a state that we all are seeking to achieve. You've arrived home. Home in God. You've left the child. You actually have moved from the pre-state to the Christ consciousness state. But you went through all these different levels, and all these levels are dangerous because you can get stuck in any one of them. Now, one thing needs to be made very clear. It's very difficult once you get to the individual level to fall back to the conscious level. You're not going to be able to do that. Once you lose faith and doubt, then you won't fall back here. Usually what happens is that you'll fall back to the pre-mind state, to the childish state. Any genius or any great achiever, any creative force in any area, you'll find they almost always never fall back to this state of being right here, collective state. They always fall back to the pre-mind state, and that's why they usually go insane, or they usually find out there's nothing else in life to be achieved. And you can watch all your artists, your painters, your poets, your great writers, anyone who have achieved great intelligence. They are ready to go to the next level. Now it takes a lot of, remember the doubt is driven by ego. And it's that ego that makes it difficult to trust. But once there's a breakthrough at this level right here, once there's a breakthrough, the relationship begins to be much better, and you're able to probably rise to the universal and rise to the Christ consciousness state. You become to be aware of God in your life. This is where you want to be. Now you're ready to fulfill your secret prayers, and we'll give you our final lesson coming up.